Welcome back to Tech Talk with VISTECH, your go-to source for all things cybersecurity and managed IT. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the Huntress 2025 Cyberthreat Report.
Okay.
This isn't just another cybersecurity report.
Right.
It reveals how cybercriminals have seriously upped their game, turning everyday tools into weapons and using smarter tactics than ever before.
What's fascinating about this report is that it goes beyond just identifying threats. It analyzes the trends and provides actionable insights that businesses of all sizes can use to bolster their cybersecurity posture.
The report kicks off with a stark warning. Remote access Trojans, or RATs as they're known, are the top threat, accounting for over 75% of remote access incidents.
Wow.
Remember that old saying, don't let the bed bugs bite?
Yeah.
Well, RATs are the digital equivalent.
Okay.
They sneak in, get comfortable, and then wreak havoc.
Right.
And they're evolving at an alarming rate.
One example highlighted in the report is Jupiter. It started as a simple program for stealing information, but has morphed into a sophisticated multi-stage backdoor.
Wow.
It's a prime example of how attackers constantly adapt and refine their tools, making them even more dangerous.
And speed is a key factor here.
Yeah.
The report reveals that the time between initial compromise and the deployment of ransomware or data theft is shrinking rapidly. This means businesses need to be able to detect and respond to threats faster than ever before.
Right.
VISTECH specializes in rapid detection and response, using advanced tools and techniques to identify and neutralize threats before they can cause significant damage.
The report also reveals a shift in ransomware strategy. Some groups are moving away from encryption and focusing on data theft and extortion.
Interesting.
Instead of locking you out of your data, they steal it and threaten to release it publicly unless you pay a ransom.
It's a scary thought.
Yeah.
Imagine your most sensitive data, customer information, financial records,
Yeah.
all in the hands of cybercriminals.
Right.
It's a nightmare scenario.
Yeah. Where attackers use legitimate tools for malicious purposes.
Interesting.
Think of it like a burglar using your own tools to break into your house.
Yeah.
They're exploiting tools like the sysinternal suite and LOL bins, living off the land binaries,
Right.
which often fly under the radar of traditional security measures.
That's like they're hiding in plain sight, using tools that are supposed to be helpful for IT administration to carry out their attack.
And it's not just tools. Even phishing is getting more sophisticated. We're talking QR code, phishing, image-based content, and brand impersonation.
Wow.
They're exploiting user trust and bypassing traditional email filters.
It's a reminder that cybersecurity is about more than just technology. It's about people.
And the report highlights the increasing abuse of remote monitoring and management tools,
Okay.
or RMMs.
Uh-huh.
These tools are designed for legitimate remote administration,
Right.
but attackers are increasingly using them to gain access to networks.
It's like giving them a key to the back door.
Exactly.
They can remotely control systems, install malware, and steal data,
Right.
all without raising any red flags.
That's why it's crucial to have secure remote access solutions in place.
Now let's shift gears and look at how these threats are playing out in different industries.
Okay.
The report dives into specific sectors, revealing that healthcare and education are under constant fire. Why is that?
Well, healthcare, for example, is particularly vulnerable due to a combination of factors. They often rely on legacy systems that are outdated and difficult to secure.
Okay.
And the use of Java-based applications, which are known to have security vulnerabilities, makes them an easy target for attackers.
And educational institutions face similar challenges. They often have limited IT resources and rely on RMM tools for remote administration,
Right.
which, as we've discussed, can be a major vulnerability.
And they're prime targets for those sophisticated phishing campaigns we were just talking about.
Right.
Think about it. Students and faculty are constantly accessing sensitive information, making them vulnerable to attacks that exploit their trust and lack of awareness. Now, the report also highlights how the technology sector is being targeted, but for different reasons. Attackers aren't necessarily interested in attacking tech companies directly.
Interesting.
They see them as a stepping stone to their real target, their clients' networks.
It's like a supply chain attack,
Uh-huh.
where they exploit weaknesses in one link to give her access to the entire chain. And RMM tools and password managers are key targets in these attacks.
Right.
They give attackers the access they need to move laterally within a network and compromise multiple systems. We use techniques like microsegmentation and network monitoring to isolate critical systems and detect suspicious activity early on.
And let's not forget about government entities.
Yeah,
They're under constant attack, with information stealing malware, RATs, and advanced hacking tools being used against them.
it's no surprise, given the vast amount of sensitive data they hold.
And compliance is a major factor in government cybersecurity.
Uh-huh.
They have to meet strict security standards, which can be complex and challenging to implement.
Right. Now, let's talk about an industry that often gets overlooked in cybersecurity discussions.
Okay.
Manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
The report reveals some surprising insights about the unique threats they face.
But what stood out to me was the unusually high prevalence of RIT installations in manufacturing environments. Attackers are finding creative ways to disguise malware as harmless Adobe components or abusing Windows RDP components to gain access.
It makes sense when you think about it.
Mm.
Manufacturing often relies on specialized software and remote access for operations,
Right.
which, if not properly secured, can become major vulnerabilities.
And the consequences of a cyber attack can be devastating for a manufacturing company.
Yeah.
Imagine a ransomware attack that shuts down production lines or a data breach that exposes sensitive intellectual property.
Wow.
The financial and reputational damage can be crippling. Speaking of consequences, the next section of the report really hits home. It's all about the financial impact of ransomware.
Let's talk numbers then. Who are the big players in the ransomware world?
The report names Ransom Hub Links and Akira as the top 3 combined. They were responsible for over half of all ransomware incidents in 2024. And these groups are known for a couple of things: high affiliate payouts, which means they attract skilled attackers, and a willingness to target businesses of all sizes. No one is immune.
So it's not just large corporations with deep pockets that need to be worried. Small and medium-sized businesses are equally at risk.
Absolutely, and that's a key message that VISTECH emphasizes to all our clients. Cybersecurity is not just an enterprise issue, it's a business issue, regardless of your size or industry.
The report also delves into a concept called time to ransom, or TTR. It's a chilling reminder of how quickly these attacks can unfold.
TTR essentially measures how fast a ransomware group goes from initial access to deploying the ransomware, and it varies significantly between groups. Some, like Akira, are incredibly fast, capable of deploying ransomware in as little as 6 hours.
6 hours. It's a frighteningly short time frame, highlighting the critical need for rapid detection and response capabilities.
The report also points out a fascinating connection between the actions attackers take before deploying ransomware and their ultimate goals.
What do you mean by that?
Groups focused on extortion tend to be more methodical. They engage in extensive reconnaissance, try to escalate their privileges, and spend significant time exfiltrating data before even thinking about deploying ransomware. They're playing the long game.
So it's not just a smash and grab operation. They're carefully planning and executing their attacks to maximize their profits. Let's move on to the tools and techniques attackers are using. This section of the report is a real eye-opener, especially the trends they're seeing with hacking tools.
One notable trend is the decline in the use of those large all-in-one hacking suites. Attackers are opting for more specialized tools like Mimikatz and the SICE internal suite. They're incredibly effective, readily available, and often go undetected by basic security measures.
It's a reminder that cybercriminals are constantly adapting and finding new ways to exploit vulnerabilities. They're resourceful and driven, which means we need to be equally resourceful and driven in our defense strategies.
Absolutely. And one specific tool was mentioned quite prominently in the report, Screen Connect.
Screen Connect. I'm not familiar with that one.
It's a legitimate remote access tool that's part of the ConnectWise suite. Unfortunately, it was targeted in a large-scale campaign exploiting 2 specific vulnerabilities. Thankfully, Huntress, which is a key part of VISTECH's security arsenal, played a major role in identifying this attack and alerting customers, helping to mitigate the damage. It's a testament to the importance of using advanced threat detection tools and partnering with a security provider that's constantly monitoring for emerging threats.
And it's not just new vulnerabilities they're exploiting. The report also highlighted the continued exploitation of older vulnerabilities. They mentioned a vulnerability in Crush FTP and another in Microsoft Exchange, both of which have been known for some time.
This underscores the importance of patching systems regularly and staying up to date on security updates. It's basic cybersecurity hygiene, but it's often overlooked. The report then dives deeper into the mechanics of these attacks, providing a granular view of how attackers operate from the initial point of entry to achieving their objectives. They start by discussing the IMIRI ATT&CK framework, which is a valuable tool for understanding and categorizing attack techniques.
It's like a playbook for cyber attacks, helping security professionals anticipate attacker behavior and develop effective defenses.
And the report highlights Huntress's effectiveness in catching attackers during the execution phase of an attack, that crucial moment when they're actually executing their malicious code. In fact, over 65% of Huntress's detections occur during this phase.
That's impressive. Stopping an attack in its tracks is the best way to minimize damage. But the report also delves into scripting abuse, which is a tactic that's becoming increasingly popular among attackers.
PowerShell, a scripting language built into Windows, remains the top choice, accounting for almost 45% of incidents. Attackers love it because it's powerful and often already present on systems, making it easy to use for malicious purposes.
So it's like they're turning a legitimate tool into a weapon.
Precisely. And the report advises locking down PowerShell as much as possible and implementing something called App Control Policy, which restricts what applications can run on your systems. It's an effective way to limit the damage that attackers can do with tools like PowerShell.
The report also talks about persistence, which, as I understand it, is all about attackers establishing a foothold in your system so they can maintain access even if their initial attack is thwarted.
Exactly. They're using some surprisingly simple yet effective methods to achieve persistence, like manipulating registry run keys, creating auto-run entries, and even hijacking COM objects. These tactics allowed them to plant backdoors that give them ongoing access to your systems.
It's a sobering thought that even if you detect and remove an initial attack, there could be hidden mechanisms that allow the attackers to regain access.
That's why it's crucial to have a layered security approach that includes not only threat detection, but also threat hunting and remediation.
It sounds like a lot of work constantly monitoring and hunting for threats.
It is, but it's essential in today's threat landscape, and that's why many businesses choose to partner with a managed security services provider like VISTECH. We have the expertise, the resources, and the technology to provide 24/7 monitoring and threat hunting.
The report delves into two critical areas, credential access and defense evasion. Let's start with credential access. What are attackers doing to get their hands on those valuable login credentials?
Two tools continue to be favorites. Mimikatz and LOL bins. We've talked about LOL bins before, but Mimikatz is specifically designed for stealing credentials. It's incredibly effective and readily available, making it a popular choice for attackers.
So they're essentially using these tools to rummage through your system, looking for those keys to the kingdom.
That's a good way to put it. And once they have those credentials, they can access sensitive data, escalate their privileges, and move laterally within your network. It's a nightmare scenario for any organization.
And then there's defense evasion. How are attackers trying to hide their tracks and avoid detection?
They're using a variety of tactics, including file obfuscation, which makes their malware harder to detect, registry manipulation to hide their presence, and even trying to disable EDR solutions altogether. It's a constant cat-and-mouse game.
It sounds like we need to be constantly on guard, updating our defenses and adapting to the evolving tactics of these cybercriminals.
Absolutely.
Now, the report goes on to discuss some additional areas of concern, particularly the rising threat to identities and the evolving tactics used in phishing attacks.
It's a reminder that cybersecurity is a multifaceted challenge, and we need to address it from all angles.
Well, let's dive into those topics then. What's the report saying about identity threats?
It highlights the growing focus on Microsoft 365 environments as more businesses move their operations to the cloud. The cloud attackers are following suit, targeting these environments with a range of attacks, including account takeovers, data breaches, and more.
It's like a gold rush for cyber criminals. They see the cloud as a new frontier full of opportunities for exploitation.
And the report stresses the importance of identity threat detection and response, or ITDR for short. It's about implementing security measures that are specifically designed to protect your identities in the cloud.
So it's not just about securing your network and your devices anymore. You need to secure your identities as well.
Exactly.
Now let's talk about phishing. The report goes into some detail about the latest trends, and it's clear that attackers are getting more creative and more convincing in their attempts to trick users.
What's interesting is that while they're using new techniques, they're also relying on some classic tactics that still prove to be very effective. It's a blend of old and new designed to exploit human psychology and bypass security measures.
Give us some examples of these phishing trends.
Well, e-signature impersonation is a big one. Attackers are sending out emails that look like they're from legitimate e-signature providers like DocuSign, tricking people into clicking on malicious links or opening infected attachments. They're preying on the fact that people are used to receiving and signing documents electronically.
I've seen those emails. They can look incredibly convincing.
Exactly. And then there's image-based content where the entire email is basically just an image with a hidden malicious link. It's designed to bypass those text-based filters that many email security solutions rely on. It's all about slipping under the radar.
Sneaky. What else are they doing?
QR codes are becoming increasingly popular in phishing attacks. They embed malicious links within those scannable codes. And because there's less awareness around QR code security, people are more likely to scan them without thinking twice.
You're right. I scan QR codes all the time without really thinking about it. It's a good reminder to be cautious. What other tactics are they using?
The report also talks about fake reply chains, where attackers create email threads that look like legitimate conversations and then forward them to you, hoping you'll open an attached malicious file. They're playing on that sense of familiarity and trust.
So they're not just sending random phishing emails anymore. They're putting more effort into crafting targeted attacks that are tailored to specific individuals or organizations.
Precisely, and that's what makes these attacks so dangerous. They're not just relying on technology, they're using social engineering tactics to manipulate people into letting their guard down.
It really underscores the importance of security awareness training we need to educate users about these evolving threats and give them the tools to identify and avoid phishing attacks.
Absolutely.
Now, the report also mentions VPN abuse as a growing concern.
VPNs are designed to enhance privacy and security. But like any tool, they can be misused. Attackers are leveraging VPNs to hide their tracks and bypass geolocation restrictions, making it more difficult to trace their activity.
It's a reminder that we can't just rely on technology for security. We need to be aware of the potential risks and vulnerabilities of even the tools that are designed to protect us. Now, the next section of the report dives into the effectiveness of EDR, or endpoint detection and response. It's a technology that's become increasingly popular in recent years, but the report paints a somewhat sobering picture.
It highlights the fact that EDR is no longer a luxury. It's a necessity for businesses of all sizes. The report states that a staggering 91% of systems that experienced a cybersecurity incident in 2024 had an EDR solution in place.
So even with EDR, those systems were compromised.
Unfortunately, yes. It's a reminder that no single security solution is foolproof. Attackers are constantly finding new ways to bypass defenses.
So if EDR isn't enough, what are we supposed to do?
The report makes a few key points. Firstly, it names Sentinel as the leading EDR solution present in 33% of systems that experienced incidents. Bitdefender and Webroot are also mentioned as being widely used. But it's not about choosing the most popular solution, it's about choosing the right solution for your specific needs.
And working with a trusted provider who can help you implement and manage it effectively.
Exactly. And that brings us to the second point the report makes about EDR. It highlights how Huntress is often deployed alongside other EDR solutions or after an incident has already occurred.
So it's like a second line of defense catching those threats that other solutions might miss.
Precisely. And that's a testament to Huntress's ability to detect and remediate threats that often fly under the radar.
It all goes back to that layered security approach that VISTECH always emphasizes.
Exactly. And that's the final point the report drives home. In the face of increasingly sophisticated attacks, we need multiple layers of protection working together to create a truly robust security posture.
It's like building a fortress around your business, with multiple walls and defenses to keep those attackers out. But even with the strongest fortress, you still need vigilant guards and a well-defined defense strategy.
That's a great analogy, and that's what VISTECH provides.
So we've covered a lot of ground in this report. What's the key takeaway for our listeners?
The key takeaway is this: the cyber threat landscape is constantly evolving. What worked yesterday might not work today, and what works today might be obsolete tomorrow.
It's a constant race to stay ahead of the bad guys. It's a constant race to stay ahead of the bad guys.
But here's the good news. Knowledge is power. By understanding the threats, the tactics, and the trends, you can make informed decisions about your cybersecurity strategy. And that's what this report is all about. It's giving us the insights we need to make smarter decisions and build stronger defenses.
And VISTECH is here to help you every step of the way.
Exactly. VISTECH is your trusted partner in cybersecurity. We offer a full suite of services designed to protect your business, your data, and your peace of mind.
So whether you're a small business just starting out or a large enterprise with complex security needs, VISTECH has the expertise and the solutions to keep you safe.
Absolutely. And remember, cybersecurity is not a set-it-and-forget-it proposition. It requires ongoing vigilance, proactive measures, and a commitment to staying ahead of the curve.
Well said. And that's a wrap on our deep dive into the Huntress 2025 Cyber Threat Report.
Thank you for joining us on Tech Talk with VISTECH.
If you're interested in learning more about how VISTECH can help you protect your business from cyber threats, head over to vistech.com or give us a call at 860-251-8003.